All right, looks like we're live across the board. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming to, I believe it is now episode 10 of the monthly pitch deck roast. For those that are not familiar with me, my name is Jason Kirby. I am the managing director and founder of Thunder.vc. We are a tech enabled investment bank. We help companies define their capital strategy and access, debt and equity capital sources that are relevant to their business and at their stage. We provide a series of free tools, including a kind of debt finder tool where you can go to debt.thunder.vc and access a variety of debt lenders that are specific to your company and needs and cost nothing to kind of see what amount you might get or how much it might cost and what types of financial products you would be access to. So that's relatively new on our side. Then we also have our core product, which is Thunder.vc. You can create a profile for your company and identify which VCs are most relevant to your company and more have a higher probability of investing in you or taking a meeting with you. Both tools are absolutely free to use. There are upgrade options, but for the most part, the data of what most people come for is completely free. And then for a select group of clients, we work with them on actually doing the capital raise, working on their pitch decks materials and everything as a traditional investment bank would, but in the venture capital space. So an investment bank for founders, by founders, and venture. So that's kind of our quick spiel. Going into today's show, we have 5 decks that I have not seen. This will be the first time I'm looking at these decks. If you have not participated in one of these shows before, uh, these decks are basically sent to me cold. I don't have any context on these businesses. Some we have maybe repeats. So a founder was in a deck review a while back. They made edits and wanted to have it redone or re-reviewed. So I think we have one, maybe two of those in this session today. But really, the point of these deck reviews is to give honest, unfiltered feedback that you just don't get as a founder because it is not in an investor's best interest to share real feedback. Just due to the nature of how the business works, it's better for investors to say that they enjoyed meeting you, they like what you're doing, and to come back later when you have more traction, which we all know is we're never going to talk to you again, lingo. But you're always hungry to kind of grow, learn, but you never get that feedback. So the purpose of these live streams is to kind of give that unfiltered, raw feedback, especially from the perspective that you're putting your deck out there. The idea of your deck is to only get a meeting. It's not meant to get money or anything else. So I basically put on my hat, my VC hat, as if I just got a cold email, no context, don't know you, have no relationship, and I'm going off solely off your deck of whether or not I want to book a meeting. Now, keep in mind, I'm wearing a venture capital hat. Venture capital hat basically means I need to see, $1 billion exit potential. I need to really believe that you have what's known as venture scale. This does not mean that your business sucks. This does not mean your business can't make you a millionaire. When I look at these, and I might, kind of push a particular narrative away, or in terms of like constructive feedback or negative feedback, given the fact that some of these businesses might not be venture scale. And there are just other types of capital or means to grow that don't involve venture capital. So that's what I come in here to do, give that feedback to the founders that are brave enough to put their decks on the internet for me to review. All the videos that I record do go into our YouTube channel and on our blog at thunder.vc for to reflect on. We actually get the majority of our engagement, a month or 2 months after a video has been published, just for people learning to kind of understand what goes into a deck, what they should take into consideration, and what matters about their business. So that all said, I will just make sure we are live everywhere else and we are good. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and start to share my screen and go into our first deck for the day. All right. And if anyone has questions or have any feedback or anything like that, or want me to elaborate on anything, whatever platform you're on, there is the ability to use the chat feature. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So today we have Gamers Home, freelancer marketplace for game studios. And so one other caveat before I go all the way into this. I'm reading these out loud. I'm going super slow and giving these decks way more time than I probably would if I were just having an email and skimming through them. Typically, a VC will only spend about 30 seconds to about a minute and a half on your deck for the first time. I'm basically expanding that time that I'm spending on that because I'm talking everything out loud, taking more time to do so. So just keep that in mind. All right, Gamers Home freelancer marketplace for game studios. Okay, so makes it very clear as to kind of establishing context. It's something I usually like to see. Give me a little teaser as to how to frame my mind as an investor who has no context to what I'm looking at. All right, so freelance marketplace. Okay, so check a couple boxes if I'm an investor in those areas. All right, problem: high cost and risk exposure with hiring and firing full-time employees. Yeah, it's standard. Game studios funding are largely tied to the project success. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I really believe that statement. Um, that this doesn't. This is just like every business problem. Every business has hiring and firing problems. So I don't necessarily know if this is specific enough to make me believe that you're going to be the winner in this particular niche. But moving on. Marketplace connecting studios with freelance talent. Okay, so really easy to understand the concept here. Upwork, but explicitly for gamer studios. I'm really hesitant about the market size, how much money you could potentially make, especially when there's already plenty of other solutions out there. But that's where my head's going. So marketplace. Okay, so validation. All right, here's your kind of like traction side. So going straight into it, which I do encourage. If you have some kind of traction, putting it up for right front and center, especially with a business that is easy to understand as this one. Kind of showing where's the traction is a good way to create the flow here. All right, so completed three pilots. So I'd be curious as to, are they ongoing? Are what's in pilot when all they really have to do is just hire people? So why is there MRR? Is, I guess, are getting a percentage of the revenue? So I'm like, okay, like it's really low numbers, so I'm not like impressed. So this tells me it's pre-seed, probably not asking for a bunch of money, but okay, they got something working. I would probably in like 90 days to get to 3K. Nothing that stands out. Number of upskilling webinars. Okay, not sure about the upskilling part. That hasn't been introduced yet. Free users 23, paid users 2. So very small, scale at this point. Are providing studios and gamers the focus groups and game reviews. So I guess, okay, the first freelancers are not necessarily like game designers. They are very focus groups and game reviews. Okay, so that's a little bit different from what I was thinking. So these are more transactional or one time. And then upskilling to get a higher pay rate. So I'm not sure who's paying this ass, but we'll continue. I don't know how you got to 1.4 billion. You just say it's 1.4 billion. Gaming. I don't know if the gaming market is 140 billion or the hiring market. I don't know what actually market you've defined here. So this is not helpful. This actually makes you look like you didn't do your research, and you're not telling me. You're just basically saying numbers at this point. You got to tell me actually what market it is, and always on the market side, always reference the market research. Product, okay, yeah, view demo. I'm not going to do that, and most investors will not, unless they're absolutely in love with your deck and concept. They will not do it. But I can kind of get the idea here. Marketplace, I guess two-sided, so the freelancers can take courses, and design studios can hire. Okay, so curious as to, they're paying this amount. Are you then recruiting and paying the freelancers out of that budget? This upskilling, seems all over the place, and the fact that you only have 2 subscribers, still probably figuring it out. So, kind of showing again hyper relevancy to the market that you're in. I'm not sure these are all what the customer wants, but they are features that you have. Being industry centric and providing, so just like super niche, it could be both good and bad. I definitely don't believe these numbers under any circumstance. You haven't proven to me under any circumstance that this has any kind of venture scale. You haven't told me how many employees there are, how many transactions can be done. Like, maybe like a bottoms up market research might be relevant here. Saying strategic partner, like, where are you at with these strategic partners? Have you already worked with them? And why, like Ghana, like that seems very specific of a country. That's not very large. So I'd be curious as to why that. And outreach tools is not really go to market strategy. Basically, cold email to who, to why. That's not a very solid go to market. Okay, so here you're elaborating. So get rid of this. This is useless. Absolutely worthless slide here when you have this slide here. Okay, listing a bunch of bullets on things that you can do. Not terrible, but there's not a lot you can do at super early stage. So at least it's something. You don't even have an MVP launched. Interesting. Okay, it's a very early stage. I think I actually know Marcus Howard from my previous days at Generation Esports. At least ran across him a few times. Let's see. So ex-founder. It's good to kind of say like maybe repeat founder or just founder, and what the outcomes were. So sold the co-founders. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. That's obviously kind of ambiguous as to what that actually means. Um, Raising a million. Okay, here this is what actually matters. Like this sure helps a little bit, but I actually kind of like this a little bit more because you're telling me what I actually want to know, and then occasionally some investors want to just see how you're going to allocate the capital. Um, so 45% on operations seems high, just my opinion. Um, okay, reach 1.7 million. Again, I just don't see that. You haven't painted the picture here to get to that with $1 million. So I would say that's a big thing. So big recap here. I give this one like it's early stage, so it's not too bad. It's not a bad deck. It's just you haven't excited me about this market opportunity. You haven't excited me about that being niche in this space and competing with the fibers and networks is really worth backing and has like $1 billion potential. Sure, you throw in whatever projections you want, but you haven't shown me how that's actually possible. So I give this like a 3. That's actually higher than I would for most. It's just your earlier stage and you got a little something going on. The deck's easy. I get what you're doing. You just haven't really painted the path to make me believe that you guys have figured it out to get to the next step. Nor have you given me a reason to want to meet with you to find that out. So that's my honest feedback. Moving on to the next one. Another gaming related one, I guess. The ray of light in crypto darkness. We are making infrastructure engine. Is that a typo? Or is that a technical term? For Web3 game dev. So that's like that. Okay, it looks like typos. Like boom, done. Deck's dead. Like the fact that you have a quote here, not a quote there, and you misspell engine, and show me like a game graphic. Like I almost, and I see 26 slides. I almost don't even want to go through it. Like you've already lost me. So this is just you cannot have typos. Period. It just shows that you're sloppy and not don't have attention to detail, and that means you probably are a poor executor or operator of your company. So I'm going to go through this deck, but just telling you right now that if I saw this deck come across the board, I wouldn't even go to the next slide. But I will for the sake of this show. All right, typical problems of GameFi. Unfriendly, repetitive, growing. Okay, so like these are opinions. There are tons of games that do well. There's lots of games with lots of lore and lots of story. But I know there's a lot of games that have this problem because they don't go anywhere. But the grand problem we saw with our product, the economy problem. I don't know if the economy problem is the problem to which why games don't succeed. So again, losing me there. And just kind of a highlight of graphs of just general market, crypto like markets. Not too interested in learning more, but we'll see. DeFi mechanics, in-game, on-chain economics. Okay, I don't see why the world needs this. Mix of on-chain. Okay, yeah, cool. Lots of blockchain. Awesome. No one needs this. Like Fortnite is doing just fine without blockchain. Call of Duty is doing just fine without blockchain. So I'm not sure why the world needs this. Engine constructor for Web3 games. Again, not seeing why Unity is not sufficient for the world of game development. This doesn't fix the playable aspect. I'm not sure. Now, granted, I'm speaking from my opinion. I don't see why the world needs, DeFi. Sure, Activision is a multi-billion-dollar company, doesn't care about their customers in most cases, but they still make great games that people want to play. DeFi doesn't necessarily solve the want to play part, and that's the most important part. You can have the healthiest food in the world, but if it tastes like shit, it doesn't matter. You gotta have something that actually has substance to the user experience. I just market growth of DeFi and Web3 games. So our Web3 games were really 22 billion last year. Definitely, again, link these. Just saying crypto.com and Statistica, doesn't actually make them credible. You could put anything in here without any reference. Web2 games, I guess you just mean the regular gaming industry. And DeFi, again, not really defining these markets and how that equates to billions of dollars to you, but I guess that's what you're trying to do here. Create a game engine, launch a game with crowdfunding, have a DAO fund. It's just I don't disagree that there is a large gamer community that's into Web3 and crypto, and that something maybe could explode at some point in this world. So I don't want to totally trash the idea, because there is just the gamer hacker mindset. There is an appeal here, so I don't want to totally shut it down. But you haven't told me that you have the best game ever, and it's better to show, not tell. So now you get. Oh, well, there you go. Fine, answer that question. I'm not going to go through this, but I can kind of see that yes, you are building a game. Probably start with that. Just is it a game that's worth playing? And I would probably lead with the fact that you're building an interesting game that's worth playing, and not necessarily then what the economics maybe come after. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on how to best present this because one, it's 26 slides and you're explaining a lot. You're probably giving me way too much information to have a meeting. Is this traction? Is this projections? Potential. So, projections. Public sale. This is just so much. And you're only raising 285K. At a $10 million valuation, that is rich. You've already raised 150K, 300K in self-funding, and then you're just adding an extra 285K. But what does that 285K get you? Mint, run quest, okay. The design is obviously in theme. It's not terrible, but this is just so much to consume. It's just too heavy on the crypto stuff, too heavy on blockchain. You clearly have done something. Looks like you have a sizable team committed to it. Sounds like you might have some interesting tech. This could only work going to hyper enthusiastic crypto and Web3 and gaming investors. I come from the gaming background, not necessarily from game design, but just the gaming industry, and this was a lot for me to read. I think you probably need to consolidate what actually matters into probably 8 to 10 slides to highlight that you are building an amazing game with a new type of model, and not go into as much detail as you've done here. You've gone into way too much detail. Again, imagine you're saying this to me cold, without context. This is too much. Now, if you've already had a meeting and people are like, how are you really doing this? Then this deck could work. But that said, I don't want to totally de-rank the deck entirely, because again, I think this could be relevant to, get Web3 people and more technical gaming people excited. So I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 3 as well. Again, the rubrics in the event descriptions if you want to know what they all mean. But 3 is actually a really high score out of 5. I don't give 3, 4s, or 5s very often. They're mostly 2s. This, from my perspective, this is a one. Well, actually, yeah, you lost me in the first slide, so it was game over there. I forgot about that. So it's technically a 0 because I would not have gone any further. So keep that in mind. Really make sure to hook me on that title slide and don't make typos. All right, moving on. Passion or passion, connecting passion with global fashion markets. Okay. Don't know where I want to start. Okay, I'll just start in the middle. Our vision and mission, we see the world where everyone has access to African fashion. Okay, so we're selling African fashion. I don't really want to read the rest. Our customers, fashion conscious individuals, values the diversity and versatility and creativity of African fashion. So, a lot of words here. Fashion is very visual. Show me fashion. I guess who are your customers? International, African diaspora. So just, I guess Africans have distributed across the globe, and they want access to maybe their culture and fashion and abroad. These are, I guess, the problems with whatever currently exists in terms of accessing African fashion. What is the problem? Okay, so you're combining problem and opportunity in the same slide when I haven't really understood the problem yet. I usually keep it to 1 point to slide. Really make me believe in the problem, then walk me through the solution. When you combine it like this, you lead with your social commerce platform when you haven't even established a problem yet. And the problem's there, but it's hard to follow. I don't think it's a good execution of the design of the deck. Social commerce, I'm pretty anti social commerce personally. Just there's millions of people who have tried. It's incredibly hard to do. It's all about network effects and executing across that. And inherently, for investors and VCs in particular to want to be involved, they either have to have a personal vested passion into your topic and not care about the returns, or you have to have like amazing organic traction off the get go. Go to market, so working with influencers. Yeah, it's easy to say. Again, I'm not really loving this design. It's just there's so much to look at and to try to read, and it doesn't tell me. I don't know where to start. My eyes don't know where to focus on these slides, and so it makes me just want to skip them and not really read them. So I guess from here I'm reading from left to right, but then you also got this dead center thing. Why now consumers are demanding greater representation in a wider range of styles. So I guess the African community is demanding greater representation, so broader access to African fashion brands. I guess it'd probably be helpful to show me some African fashion brands. I don't, again, if you're targeting people from or in Africa, they understand this problem. Maybe you don't need to do that, but if you're targeting other investors, they probably need to be educated. As a white guy from the US, I don't understand the problem, and you have to kind of educate me a little bit if you want me as an investor. If you're not targeting people like me, then you're only targeting people that know this problem, then maybe not so much. But that's something to kind of keep in mind, like who are you putting this in front of, and who do you want to have a conversation with? Make sure that they will get it. Again, terrible layout and design. I see you're, just trying to make it clean, but I don't even know where to start. It's just so much to read on each slide. It's kind of one of those decks of like, we're going to do everything perfectly all the time. And those decks never work. Embrace innovation and creativity in our approach to, I don't know how innovation and creativity mean anything. Those are just, adjectives. They don't actually say you're capable of building a moat or having any kind of defensibility. Yeah, I wouldn't don't just from a basic visual perspective, don't give me check marks if they don't have those, or if they do have these but they're bad. Oh, fair. Oh, you have it down here. So good, fair. So that means everyone has everything you're offering. It's just you think yours is better than everyone else. Again, doesn't look very professional. Doesn't look like, you know, the world needs this. As far as like, there seems to be other solutions out there that might be sufficient. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. I don't know. But this is not. I wouldn't do like this excellent, good, fair option because it's an opinion. It's better to say like a fact of like they do have this, they don't have this. So for those doing competitive slides, keep that in mind. And also with competitive slides, at the end of the day, it's one thing to say you have a feature or you do something that someone else doesn't. But most VCs see that as, okay, so if that's such a big deal, someone that has more money and has more scale than you could just add that feature, and then what happens? So what you really want to emphasize on competitive advantage slides is what's your moat. That's what every VC really wants to know. So if you build it, what's your moat? Which in this case would probably be more of a network effect because you have the marketplace, you got both sides. So as your network grows, it becomes more stable and consistent. That becomes your moat per se, because technically anyone can build a social commerce app. Okay. Business model pay per click seems really, really low, but maybe that's African markets. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you're making or that's what you're paying. And I don't know if that's validated or not. So lots of questions. That yeah, this is this in USD? It looks like it's in USD. I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe that a social e-commerce company that has $0 in revenue will instantly do 15 million in EBITDA in its first year. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it basically makes me think you have no idea how to run a business and what's realistic in the world of starting a business. So, and that's assuming that's 15%. So that means you're doing like hundreds of millions of dollars in transactions, and you haven't even convinced me that the market you're going after is big enough. Like, actually, I don't even think, do we even see how many Africans are out there that are demanding African fashion outside of their own country? You haven't. So pretty much everything else is rendered useless. Oh, well, now here you go. So, okay, so in the US, there's 42 million, I guess. Yeah, it's this black population. That doesn't necessarily mean that they attribute to or want African fashion. So there probably have to be a little bit. It's pretty presumptuous to say all black people in the world that don't live in Africa want African fashion. But it does give me an idea of like, okay, there's this many people, but I do want to know that, it's like, what's the demand? Like, it's okay, these people exist, these are the demographics, but what's the transaction volume? Like, how many people are attempting to do this or currently buying this, or how much is actually being bought? Our ask, so $1 million, doing lots of stuff. That's just not believable. Again, don't want to say it's possible, but highly unlikely. Funding breakdown. So yeah, so like attending African fashion shows, like to get, it's like, how can you get in front of millions of people with only $1 million? That I don't believe yet. You have not proven that. How do you get in front of the 42 million African American prospective customers in a year? No one does that. So this just shows a lack of understanding of execution and just market economics and how business works. So it puts you in a bad light with any prospective investors. This is the team. I think I actually met with one of the team members previously, gave some of this feedback. At the end of the day, this very much could be a business. I don't doubt that there is a market to buy African fashion under the solutions that are being presented. Do I think it's venture scale? I'm not convinced in this deck that it's venture scale. And I don't think the deck does a good job of demonstrating the execution of the team when it comes to at least a capital raise. They could be running a great business on their own, but when it comes to raising capital, I'd be concerned about their abilities to raise capital now and in the future. This one I'm going to give, unfortunately, just because of that final part, I'm going to give it a 1, just because I don't think it's venture scale and hasn't been represented as venture scale at this point. But again, this founder can go back, re-architect the deck to frame it more towards catering to an investor like me. Maybe I could be convinced. And there could be some people out there that completely disagree with my ranking, but just seeing how this was laid out, how it's being presented, and the lots of missing information here for understanding the venture scale opportunity, and believing it. Obviously, it's showing that it's going to make millions overnight, but I just don't believe that. All right, moving on. Oh no, I'll give it a 2. I'll take that back. 1 was a little too harsh. All right, moving on. Pineapple Square. So I think we've had this one before. They wanted to do it again. Not sure what changed. Platform for the hospitality industry, creating the open source, real time, cross platform, data sharing, and normalizing protocol for mobile and web apps. Jesus Christ, that's a mouthful. I'm sorry. Terrible. All buzzwords. Still don't know what you do. So, any B2B app can easily share data with another. I have no idea what you tried to tell me there. It's a bunch of buzzwords, but I do know that you're in the hospitality industry, so good. Check that box. Okay, Draper University. That gives some credibility. Just kind of that's a good high. That's a good way to highlight the team, especially early stage. Do whatever you can to highlight the team. So that's good. Okay, went to hotel school. Good. All right, got a computer science engineer, CTO. Great. Chief design officer, MBA in arts, 20-year designer. Great. Those are good check boxes. Product manager who has been in the hospitality industry. Good box check. Okay. Software engineer who is a chef, bartender. Oh, okay. I maybe leave with the relevant role what he's doing here. And CMO, again, coming from the industry, having some experience. I'd probably start. I see what you're doing here. Try to maybe start with the relevancy of the hospitality industry, and then going into their years of experience for the job that they do. Not really going to tell you that's right or wrong, but I think you did a good job of articulating that you have a team. Jay's hospitality tech landscape is fragmented, disjointed systems. There is no solution for software developers and users to simply link apps and software data across different platforms without spending thousands of dollars. So I guess maybe like a Zapier for hospitality apps. Is that where we're going? So you can't currently share data across all the different apps that may exist. I don't know examples those would be, but clearly you can build tech that does all this, and that's kind of industry standard for any app being built, but I'm curious if these are meant to represent other apps. Okay. So everyone sends their app to Pineapple Square or whatever the company, Pineapple, and then it's Stripe for B2B app data sharing. I guess I don't know what app data is. Like what app data? App data from Hilton's loyalty program app or Hilton's loyalty app with Hertz and United and a bartender, or like a not bartender, like a restaurant's, point of sale system. Like I don't know what apps you really are trying to focus on. So again, not really convinced to keep reading at this point, but we'll keep going for the sake of the show. Software developers, distribution channel, smaller commission on sales, open source. Okay, sure. Oh, you're trying to highlight here who the benefits are for. Okay, so for software developers, here are the benefits. Profiles used for personal branding and in-app data. Okay. Sounds like a social, interactive networking app. Okay, I'm really confused. So it's data sharing app, but then it's also like a community and networking app. I don't know what you're building. I'm back at this again. I think I said this last time I saw this. So, yeah. I don't know what you're building. I think I said that last time. Raising only 50K, so super early stage, probably still figuring it out. Team looks good. Give you credit for the team. Probably be able to raise a couple bucks to figure it out and get better at articulating what you're actually doing and why the world needs it. But right now, I don't know why the world needs you and what it is you're actually trying to give the world. So, I'm gonna give this a 1 again. Sorry for being harsh, but that's just kind of what it is. It's hard to follow what you're doing. You're trying too hard to be too many things, and it's too difficult to know what you are. Moving on. System. The vote to earn crypto platform that empowers young and aspiring artists by showcasing their socially driven works. Whoa. Okay, again, don't put problem and solution on the same page, especially with blocks of text. Um, I'm going to try to read this. Talented artists face barriers entering the digital world, and yeah, artists is hard, but I guess Web3 smaller market, um, low variety of art forms in the Web3 space, expanding the right. Okay, I don't know if I think the world needs that, and lack of global issues significance amongst Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Um, I don't really understand these problems. I don't relate to them. Conversation incubator provides so you're an incubator community for artists, encouraging collaboration. Doesn't sound venture scale. Again, as if I'm an investor, I would take my hat. Go ahead and close out right now. Mission and vision. I'm not a huge fan of mission and vision. Sometimes it's important, maybe early stage, pre-seed. You want to kind of just get people wrapped around what you're doing, but I don't know if this is the best way to do it. Um, Graphics are cool though. It's a cool, fun, generated images. Our mission is to aspire to become the leading platform from young artists. So like a Behance. Um, but now, project overview. Yeah, again, don't want to read these slides. Cultivating community, promoting. Sorry if you guys can hear my daughter screaming in the background. Um, Project overview, key features, incubator. Okay, yeah, I don't even want to read it. This is competitive advantages. I still okay for being a community. Again, just like I feel like this was auto generated. I felt like someone put this into an AI tool and said create a deck for artist community that's Web3. Like that's exactly what this looks like. It looks like there was, except maybe the YTEM token. I don't know if ChatGPT would be that crazy to create a token since it was shut off after 2021. But um, okay, so I guess it's maybe for the MENA region. So maybe it's a different target audience. Maybe I'm not understanding something about the audience potentially. But I just filling motivation, filling time, escaping every day. Yeah, I just really don't know what you're doing. You're going to create a community app for young artists. And I don't understand what makes you special about it. I don't see any examples of what it is. You're going to have Web3 economics. You're going to make money from farming and peer to peer. And you're going to have it all. And token economics. And, buy our token and give us money. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so you have 200 artists for your first incubator. I guess they're not meeting physically. Maybe it's just online on the app. You're finally starting to see an app, but I guess I'm betting on who has the better app, or maybe I'm voting. I'm voting with my crypto. Um, so some credible background brands. Um, but you work; those are clients, not your employers. Um, but good, you did the right thing. Yeah, at least the LinkedIn. I always ask for LinkedIn. They have a CTO. You don't necessarily say who's a founder, who's not a founder. I don't know if this is all the founding team or if they're all like, hired guns or working for fun. Um, Advisors, no one off the top that's highly notable. Maybe in the space they are, but I don't know them. I don't know what these partnerships mean um, and how they impact you. But again, MENA region, I could be missing a lot of context here, so I don't think it's fair for me to be a total judge on this deck, but I think it's cool from like some design concepts, but I just didn't really want to read it. It's long for what it is, and it doesn't really convince me of what's special about having an incubator and like an artist community. There's a million types of community apps. You know, this doesn't show that you already have a community, which if you're building a community app, you don't already have community. It's kind of a red flag for investors. So unfortunately, I think this one's also going to get a 1. I just don't think this has a strong appeal to want me to take a meeting with the founders here. All right, I know that was a pretty harsh ending here, but I appreciate everyone hopping on. We do this every month, so if you want your deck roasted, um, you know, watch a couple of these, do your homework, make some adjustments, and submit your decks. You can either submit them on our Slack for the Thunder Founder Slack community. You can email them to me. You can email them to our analyst Ruth at thunder.bc, or when you use RSVP on the Luma link, you can submit your deck there. If you update it or change it, just email us and send it to us, and we'll update before the next one. So, like I said, every single month on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any feedback for me, by all means, let me know. I know I could be a little harsh, but I think that's kind of the point of this series, is to kind of give that raw, unfiltered feedback. That, again, looking at it from the lens that I do, which is representative of what majority of investors would look at this from if they don't have context to who you are. So, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap the show. Thanks, everyone, for joining and hanging out with me today. Appreciate your questions and comments as I go through it, and hope to see you in the next one.